Welcome to Burn the Ship. Burn the Ship. Our goal here is to connect entrepreneurs with professionals that can help you go all in on your business. Stephanie, thank you for coming. I wanted to say that up front. I appreciate everyone that spends time being valuable to myself, being valuable to our audience. It's just a very selfless thing to do, and I appreciate you dedicating some of your Friday to us. But our goal is to connect you guys and the audience with people that have walked the walk, talked the talk, experienced all the things that we experience as small business owners, and come out the other side a better entrepreneur. We want to pass some of those traits along, bottle up some of those skills and experiences, and lay them out there for you to for you guys in the audience to pick and choose kind of what you want to pick up and what you want to put down. So, again, thank you for coming. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and introduce your business a little?
Sure. I'm Stephanie Bolton. I'm a general contractor in Wilmington, North Carolina. We operate all the way from Raleigh down to North Myrtle Beach to the water. We do everything on the exterior of a building, so roofing, siding, gutters, windows, doors. I'm a licensed general contractor. I actually was a construction attorney for 15 years
Oh, wow.
before I traded my suits for boots.
Hmm.
And yeah, that's kind of my story.
Sure. How so your background was in being a construction attorney, and you were that a long time. Where did this conversion to Patriot? Is it Patriot Roofing? What is the full name of your business?
It's Patriot Roofing and Exteriors.
Cool. So how did that conversion happen for you?
I think it started from the time I was born, basically. I always say I grew up in the passenger seat of my grandfather's pickup truck because he was a project manager for a sheet metal roofing company.
Oh,
So
wow.
I would spend my weekends driving around with him looking at his projects, and he would point them out like, oh, I worked on this, or my grandfather worked on this. And so I kind of just grew up being on job sites. And I think that made me value old buildings and seeing them as having, being important fabrics to our community. So I was always into construction. But I was the first person in my family to go to college. And then obviously the first one to go to law school. And I think I ended up in construction law because it was where I was comfortable. It was what I knew, especially being a first generation college law school person. I think I went to the industry I was comfortable with. But after pushing paper and being in the inside of a courtroom for 15 years, I really just wanted to see what I could build. With being a lawyer, a lot of it is pushing a lot of paper around, and everybody's worst day was my day of work. That kind of grinds on you after a long time. So nobody wants to go and see the inside of a courtroom, especially
Sure.
small construction companies. So I had the opportunity to go back into the family business. My family's been in construction for 150 years. So when I
Wow.
had the opportunity to actually go work with my brother-in-law, he had an existing roofing company. I first kind of started out as in-house counsel for him, just kind of doing his legal work, helping him with contracts and that kind of stuff. And then when I had the opportunity to actually go full time inside the company as kind of like the CEO, he was semi-retired at the time. I kind of just jumped in head first. He then passed away at 49 very
Oh, wow.
unexpectedly. So overnight, it went from me kind of being inside this little cube, office to then being the face of the company and choosing to run it in the way that I wanted. But that was an overnight change, and so that was in 2019. So I feel like, and then of course we've in Wilmington we've had three hurricanes, two
Hmm.
winter storms, and a pandemic since his passing. So I always say I still haven't seen a normal year yet, but it's just now starting to feel normal.
Sure. And so
Yeah.
what was that learning curve like? Like, obviously, with the background in being a construction attorney, you've probably seen and heard a lot of things in the construction industry, but what does that learning curve look like for you as far as learning to manage other people and manage a workload, all those things?
It was steep, and I had to learn quick. And it was all the things I didn't know how to do at all. So be the face of the company, getting out there and marketing. I knew nothing about marketing, SEO, how to build a website, how to even hire someone to do those things for me was a huge learning curve. I feel like I've just now kind of gotten to the point where I can speak the language enough to hire the right people. trying to learn to do things all myself in the beginning. I remember I took a photography class because I was like, okay, we're going to need good pictures. And then I decided it was much more, made a lot more sense and was a huge like time saver to just hire a professional photographer instead of trying to learn how to do it all myself. So that was quite a learning curve. And yeah, so, and now we're here.
Yeah. So, what is the scale of your company like? Are you doing mostly residential? Is it mostly local?
It is, I would say we're approaching the 60 to 70% residential. We do quite a bit of commercial, but the commercial we do is smaller. We are in a historic city, so we do a lot of historic restoration. That's kind of one of our niche areas. We do a lot of siting. Like I said, it's a little bit of everything, but we kind of specialize in the coast because we have different weather patterns here than what you're going to see even in the mountains of North Carolina. So, like, what I would put on a roof here is not what I would put on a roof in Asheville. So we know what we're good at, and we try to stick to that niche, which is really coastal roofing and then historic restoration.
Sure. And what's kind of been your superpower, right? Since it's what's that 5 years it's been your show. What
I
would you
think
say you've done particularly well that's helped you kind of keep pushing the business that aligns with your vision of your family?
I think really investing in our community. In the very beginning, we spent really no money on marketing, but all the money we did spend on marketing was joining the Chamber of Commerce, getting involved with different charitable organizations. I serve as the president of the Historic Wilmington Foundation Board of Trustees. We really took what most companies were telling us to put into SEO in the website and Google ads, and we were putting that into investing into our community and getting to know people here. I think that was kind of a smart move on our part. I think also really niching down to doing what we do and doing it well, and not being constantly like chasing the next shiny penny. People ask me every day if I'm interested in doing custom homes or building like kitchens and baths. I'm like, no, absolutely not. This is what we know. This is what we're good at. This is what our company is built to do. So I think being able to say no to the projects that don't work for our company has been a superpower. And I
Sure.
think that my legal background goes a long way in that. Being able to say, nope, this is what we're good at. This is what our company is set up to do. I can't put my crews on projects that are going to take 6 months because that doesn't work for this my business.
Sure. And so what is the ideal time frame a fast residential change? It's probably, a week or two of work at the longest.
I mean, it depends if it's like a shingle roof versus like a full siding job. A full siding job can take up to a month, month and a half, but a shingle roof, we're going to be in and out. It doesn't matter how big it is. We're going to be in and out in less than a week. Metal roofing, so it takes a little bit longer. But if I'm on a project for more than a month, I'm not thrilled with that.
Right.
I want to be in and out. I want to contract. I want to get you done. And I think that's kind of where we're at. That's where our labor is.
Sure.
In this industry, you're only as good as your labor. And to keep your labor happy, you need to keep them moving.
What is the size and scale of your team? Is it mostly technicians in house, or are you guys mostly just doing inspections and subcontracting the work? What is that process for you?
It's both. We have 12 full-time employees, including full-time roof technicians. We have a full-time roofing crew that just does shingle work. But then when it comes to specialty work, like our metal roofs, our siding, those are subcontracted crews that we use a lot. I mean, weekly, we're using, the same crews on a weekly basis. But when you're getting into that specialized labor, you need to be using, for the most part, subcontractors that, that's their specialty.
Sure. And one of the things that we've been talking about on the podcast most recently is really just the difference between the market that we're in and I'm in Atlanta and somewhere like Wilmington or places like Greenville or places like Huntsville or Birmingham where um, and this may not be the same for you, not to put the words in your mouth or for your company, but what I've found is that a lot of the majority of businesses that are in your position that position being in a smaller market that works directly with your customers are much more focused on the experience of their customer rather than, like you said, SEO and website optimization and capturing as much of that local market and getting inbound internet leads. Like, it just seems that people in a smaller market value the experience of their customer much more than, for the most part, I would say overall, sum of aggregate data here. But I would think that someone in a smaller market spends a lot more time thinking about the customer experience than someone in a super large market that is thinking about how to acquire as many customers as possible. So what is that experience like for you? Is that customer experience something that you guys talk about a lot?
Absolutely. And you hit the nail on the head, and it differs by market. And like I said, we work in Raleigh, and Raleigh is a completely different market. We try to give the same customer experience in all of our offices, but in how you get clients is very different in a big city like Raleigh than it is for us in our small city like Wilmington. Or we do a lot of work with all those little coastal beach towns, Topsail, Ocean Isle, Carolina Beach. Like these are tiny towns, and they're it, you mess up one of those and that person doesn't have a good customer experience, you're not going to work on that island again. Like it's
Yeah,
just really important. But we try to carry that to our clients in Raleigh and in Myrtle Beach. But yeah, the way we get clients is very different, because there it is very much based on SEO, websites, call in leads. Where around on the barrier islands, it's all about who the next door neighbor used.
right. Yeah, and it's probably a lot of there's probably a learning curve in itself of trying to understand those different markets. What would you say is some of the biggest obstacles that you've experienced, especially as becoming the face of the company? What is that the learning curve been like as far as trying to step away from having that legal hat on all the time and thinking through that legal lens to thinking about the company more from a holistic perspective? What do you think's been most difficult?
I think learning that the markets are different. I think when we started to do well in Wilmington, we started to get calls in Raleigh, and we thought we could treat that market the same, and it wasn't the same. And the product lines that we offer there need to be different. The customer experience is faster there. Generally, customers in the city want to make quicker decisions. They want answers faster. Here, people don't like to be rushed as much. It's got
Sure.
a little bit more of a laid back feel to it. And just that customer experience looks different, much less how we get those customers. And I definitely made some missteps in the beginning, thinking I could treat the markets the same, and quickly realizing that I was, spending money in the wrong places and needed to spend them in different ones. So
Certainly. Well, let me ask you this. I think a lot of companies get there's two things that I feel like is an ever long battle for roofing companies, especially in our market. And one of those things is technology, and the other of those things is products, right? How do you find a good, CRM or database or management tool? How do you find something like that that works for you? Because I have clients here in Atlanta that have, suffered through 6, 8, 10 pieces of technology trying to find something that actually scales well with their business.
what we found for us that works the best is we pick and choose. We don't use one for all things. We find the photo management service we like the best, and then we find a way to integrate that into our inter-office communication system, which we use Slack. And
Oh,
we have
wow.
found, yeah, and so what
Slack
we
is a
have found,
wonderful tool. I think people use about 10% of what Slack is actually capable of.
we have found a way to integrate all the other, like, platforms that we like what we use to make our estimates, or we use to use our invoices, or we use iRoof to do our, measuring system. We have found a way to integrate those into Slack, even if they don't necessarily integrate by themselves. We tried going to a big CRM that supposedly did everything, but they didn't do everything well, or they didn't do everything in a way that we
Right.
wanted it done. So being able to kind of customize it and figure out ways to customize it has been great for us on that operation side.
Yeah, for sure. I think all of those pieces of technology have their strong point. All of them have their weakness, but I think it's something to think about in 2024 is all pieces of software and technology want to market themselves as this one-stop shop, do everything well. You can find everything you need here. And a lot of times there are bits and pieces of that software that are not going to meet your needs. And it also doesn't necessarily correlate with the need to scrap that entire system and renovate that and overhaul, because the grass is always greener until you make that change. And especially from a technology perspective, everyone that they decide how they're going to spend their time, and it's perfecting certain processes and making one thing their biggest selling point so that they can stand out amongst their markets. You know, they're everybody's going to have strengths, and according to what is important to you as a business is really what I think that you should use to differentiate the value of those products to yourself. What about the products that you use? Because I know that there are some fads in the roofing industry, right? Some of them last a little longer than others. Some of them are better than others as far as actual solution goes. Something that we've seen here recently, especially for light commercial, is these silicone and epoxy roof coatings. What do you think about some of these things that gain and lose popularity in your industry?
Well, I kind of consider myself like they always say, like you have your first adapters and then your second adapters. I would like your early adapters and then your like second wave. I would definitely consider myself probably a second wave adapter. I'm always looking for new things and I'm always interested in learning about them. But I'm not putting them into my business until I've talked to other people who have used it and it's working for them. I think doing this job well requires that you know other people doing it across the country and they're doing it well, and being able to go to them and say, hey, have you tried this? Is it working for you? What works, what doesn't? And being able to trust those conversations that you're having is really important. But I mean, we were probably one of the first companies in our area to use drones for inspections. I'm the first in the area to get a fully electric truck. I'm very excited about that. Really hoping to have a fully electrified fleet in the next couple of years, but got to start with one, especially because you can't get it with an 8-foot bed, and I need 8-foot beds. But
Right.
I'm on the edge of early adapting, but I'm not using a new product until it's proven, and I'm definitely not putting it on somebody's house until it's proven.
Yeah, for sure. I've seen a lot of people with you learn those things. Like one of the kind of horror stories that I heard is I think that silicone, that epoxy coating for like flat top, like strip malls and stuff like that,
Yep.
the rain and moisture is very, very important to avoid whenever laying those mixtures and sealing a roof that way. And the weather here is not so dependable. Probably not in your area either. You get it
And
from
it's,
both directions. You get whatever
yeah,
we give you, and then you get it from the ocean as well. And
and
so
it's
I've
humid.
seen, yeah, and I've seen like $80,000 roofing jobs from my own merchants get washed away with unexpected April shower. You know what I mean? So there's a learning curve for those things too. And I think that in your industry, it's like there's never going to be two jobs that are exactly the same, and you have to be able to weigh pros and cons of each solution for each of those. And I think that's probably a thing for anybody that works with homeowners, right? Every solution is going to be a little bit different, and it's probably true that people walk into a lot of those conversations thinking they know exactly what they want, even though you as an expert probably recommend something else. So it's a part of kind of being that expert in the industry and trusting your product and trusting your company as well. But yeah, there are a lot of fads in a lot of industries that go out of style because they're not, exactly as viable a solution as many people market them early on. But there are some cool things coming to the roofing industry that I've heard about as well that are um, exciting, and I think technology is going to keep making it easier. But it's an exciting thing. Your industry is a fickle beast, and when you learn a lot of things about your industry and combine that with the willingness to connect with customers where they are, um, you can do a lot of really, really cool stuff. So it's been exciting to connect with you. Truthfully, how do people find you if they want to buy something, do business with you, if they're in your area? What does that look like?
you can always go to our website. It's patriotroofer, ROOFER.com, or you can give us a call, 910-218-0600. We're always available. Somebody answers our phone 24/7. So give us a call, stop by our website. We're
Sure.
happy to help in any way we can, and
And
happy to help other contractors. I think as a female in this industry, I'm one of the very few female general contractors in our area,
sure.
much less than in the roofing industry. There's even
Mm.
less of us. I'm always willing to help other general contractors across the country if they've got questions or they want to talk things through.
Well, that's an incredible value to extend of yourself. I appreciate that very much. And the way that we always kind of end the podcast here, right, is kind of an ode to our name. So a lot of people pick and choose when they burn the ship and go all in on their business, right? A lot of people, whether they're kick the can down the road for years and finally make the leap, or if they're a more impulsive person that decides early on, I'm going to throw myself at this thing and attack it. I don't think there's any right or wrong answer to the way that you mentally put yourself in the headspace to become an entrepreneur, but you have a very unique story in which you didn't really get an option. You didn't get to choose. It was kind of thrown at you overnight, and you had to step up to the plate in a way that wasn't necessarily forecasted for you. So for you, emotionally and fulfillment wise as a person on a human level, what does it feel like to go all in on your business? What does it feel like to burn the ship and decide I'm going to endure these problems head on, and I'm going to come out the other side of them better at what it is that I do? What is that experience like, and why should other people seek out that same thing?
It's interesting because I think for the first year I was just in survival mode. And I think there was even a part of me there was this big part of me that was, I didn't ask for this. I didn't want this. And probably about a year in, I went with this. It was time to either grow and expand, or it was time that we're not gonna leave the Wilmington market. We're just gonna stay really small. And I remember talking to some of my employees at the time and realizing I was making a difference in their lives and providing, a good job for people. And I think that was the moment I decided I was all in. And I wanted to keep doing that and providing good jobs and paying living wages and raising the bar in my industry and in my community. And I've been head first ever since.
Yeah, it's exciting to see the benefit that you can bring to people that are close to you once you step into that role. Like, I guess if there was anything that we could leave people with, is don't be surprised at the power that you have whenever you step into that CEO or entrepreneur or decision maker role, because it's going to change your relationship with the people around you and the people that you work with very closely. And you can either um, you can relish that, and you can turn it into something very positive, and you can work and go above and beyond to create you know a hospitable environment for the people that are close to you. Or you can do the opposite. Again, one of the most interesting thing about these conversations and these assumptions that we make about small business is that there is no right or wrong answer. It's an experience. It's a journey for everyone that goes through those things, and being able to connect the dots and being able to experience that along the way, I think, is half the beauty. You know what I mean? So,
Absolutely.
yeah, no, I appreciate you coming and sharing your story. If there's anything that we can do to be of value to you as well, please let me know. We have some clients and some connections up in your area. Um, we move around the southeast quite a bit. And we're trying to do our best of becoming a more regional solution for payment processing for people around us. And we're a small business just like you guys. I think we actually have the same number of full-time employees, so it's a journey for us as well. And we've been through survival mode, and we've been through our hot streaks and everything else. We weigh and pros and cons of new solutions and products and what that looks like for us, and continuing to learn and continuing to advance in your industry and my industry and whatever industry you may be in, listening from the audience's point of view. um, just know that not having all the right answers is a normal thing, and there are people like Stephanie and people like myself that are more than willing to stick with you through those growing pains, because we did the same thing. So I appreciate you coming. If you have anything else to leave the audience with, any final thoughts, please take advantage. The platform and the floor is yours. But I do appreciate you coming on. It is very rare that we meet someone with your background and expertise from a legal perspective that has stepped into the CEO role and done things to make your life easier and the life of your employees easier, and really look forward with a vision. So I think the conversation has been really good, and anything that you have to leave with is more than welcome here.
Something you just touched on, and I was talking to another entrepreneur yesterday about it, and she's relatively new. She's probably about a year in. And I was like, the fear never goes away. There's always a little bit of fear or uncertainty. I was like, but you kind of just get used to living with it
Yeah.
and working through it. And I think, if there's no fear, then maybe entrepreneurship isn't for you. If there is that little hesitation, you got to push through that, and you'll be all right. I think that's what keeps you going, and it's what keeps you making sound decisions. So if you call it fear or hesitation, so many entrepreneurs are afraid to make that jump. You don't make the jump when you're 100% satisfied you're going to, make it. You make the jump when you still got a little bit of fear, or you got a little hesitation. That's the time to do it.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And one of the coolest things I think about this podcast, if I can brag on our own little operation here for a second, is that we've done 300 something episodes,
It's
and I
amazing.
think that if you watch all of the episodes and you make a blanket assumption about everyone that you're watching talk about entrepreneurship, you realize that the entrepreneurs, both successful and unsuccessful, are extraordinarily normal people. Like, you experience all of the things that we experience, from a personal level, from a family level, from a business perspective. The defining factor a lot of times is literally just that conscious decision to step out of your comfort zone and take on some of that responsibility because you can conquer it.
Yep.
So don't let the fear or your own perceived lack of knowledge be the things that stands in the way of taking a chance on yourself. Because I'm telling you right now, I've worked with thousands and thousands of entrepreneurs. I've interviewed hundreds and hundreds of entrepreneurs, and if you do your due diligence in learning your industry and learning a couple of small business things, and then you go out there and grab some experience as a CEO or a decision maker, you will blow yourself away at what you're capable of. And you probably did the same thing. It's like you said, you didn't decide to inherit this responsibility. It's something that just came to you, and you stepped to the plate and took a swing, and it's going well. So again, if there's anything that I can do for you, I'd love to be an help to you guys. Your personality seems to exude itself in your business as well. So it's a wonderful thing, and I look forward to staying connected with you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I really
anytime.
appreciate it.
Cool. Burn the ship.